Yo, as a Vegeta fan, this episode got me happy and hyped. Like, oh my god, like, just anytime there's a Vegeta episode and the man is not becoming a jobber, I'm like, yes, because, like, we all know Super's coming to an end very soon, literally in 5 episodes, okay? That's not a long time. In the grand scheme of things, 5 episodes isn't a lot, and I was very, very worried Vegeta might not have any more time to shine. Probably the last time I thought he was going to get to shine was maybe going up against Jiren and then getting knocked out or whatever to kind of weaken him down for Goku to go in. I thought something like that was going to happen, and I've been incredibly worried. And then I got around to watching this episode. I just finished it. You can tell by the look on my face, I'm just hyped up right now, and I'm like, yo, I'm a boy, he went in! He went in! Oh my god, like the man, oh, okay, so the man used Final Atonement, dude, like, he used that is my favorite moment, okay, that moment, the signifier of what I'm talking about, okay, Majin Vegeta, in the Buu Saga, when Buu first came about, before we really found out the capabilities of Buu, Vegeta, as we know, he sacrificed himself a very long time ago, and it was a very iconic moment for Vegeta's character, and I want to be honest here, it is my single most favorite moment of Dragon Ball, in the entirety of Dragon Ball, okay, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, GT if you like GT, just, it is probably my favorite moment, okay, besides the father-son Kamehameha, with, you know, Gohan going in and fighting back against Cell, and then, you know, the Frieza moment against Goku and all that when Goku transforms. Those are some certain iconic scenes that just really stand out to me, but the scene right here, okay, the Majin Vegeta scene, I just never would have thought I would have gotten in feels from the Majin Vegeta moment in this episode, and I'm like, yo, I Dragon Ball Super, you know how to make me happy. As a Vegeta fan, I know I'm going to be incredibly biased in this video, but as a Vegeta fan, I'm like, you couldn't have made it an any better episode for me. Like, this is what I wanted. This is exactly what I wanted. Vegeta went in, dude. He went in against Topo. He just started like, bam, just fuck. Okay. Let me calm down. I'm sorry. I'm getting hyped up because it was such a good episode. So, to get right into it, Topo, his entire character in this episode, or ever since he became God of Destruction Topo, he has thrown everything away, okay? He literally threw away everything. Justice, all of that for the sake of survival, for his universe can win. Now, in a way, because of this, it makes him a very interesting character, because he was always about justice. You know, when he encountered Goku and everybody else, he always was about justice. And it made him to where he was an interesting character, because he had this moral compass, he was someone that believed in good and all that, and then he threw all that away. When he was done with it and all that, he threw all of that away to be able to obtain this power, God of Destruction Topo. And in that moment, if you really look at this episode, the themes of the episode is trying to show us that Topo was going down the path of what Vegeta did. That's basically what happened. And here's the thing. This has been built up for a while, actually. You remember the segment a long time ago with Vegeta versus Topo the first time around? And you had it to where Vegeta's like, oh, you're like the second fiddle. And he's like, aren't you the second fiddle too? And, you know, that banter happened. Well, it's kind of like this. It's kind of like Toei was hinting at the fact that Topo and Vegeta are very similar. Now, I highly doubt we're probably ever going to get a lot of, like, expanded characterization for Topo. I mean, that really just depends. But, I mean, for the most part, from what you can gather from this episode, it seems like Topo overall, he is probably in a very similar spot to Vegeta when it comes to Goku. And he probably had something a long time ago. Maybe he tried to compete with Jiren or something else. Or maybe he was a little bit different from Vegeta in some ways. But regardless, though, he is kind of comparable to Vegeta in a lot of ways from Dragon Ball Z. And with this episode, when we see how he's thrown everything away, it's exactly like what happened in the Buu Saga, when Vegeta threw everything away to become stronger, to be able to take down Kakarot. That was the big point of it, and it was a very big turning point for Vegeta's character, because he literally threw everything away. He wanted to throw away his family, his friends, he wanted to throw away his own sense of pride. He wanted to keep it, he was saying he was keeping it, but in that moment, it was kind of like he did throw it away, because he asked, you know, Babidi to give him power. So it's like, he threw everything away just for the sake of strength to be able to defeat Kakarot to say he is number one. And it was like Vegeta, just he lost himself, and he had to get a major wake-up call, especially when he was fighting Boo, to actually realize what he needed, what was actually important to him. He realized it wasn't Kakarot all along. For instance, trying to surpass him, it was something much more. And so in that case, when you see this episode, it's so much more impactful, because what Topo did is exactly like what Vegeta did. Vegeta threw everything away. Topo threw everything away. And Vegeta, he's been down this path, and you could see in that moment when he's going up against Topo, he realizes that he can't do that again. He can't throw everything away. He can't throw away his family, his friends, his pride, his promises he made to other Saiyans. He can't do that. And it shows how much he has matured as a person. It's kind of like this. Topo is a reflection on Vegeta. That's the best way to take this episode. Topo is Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z, and we see how much he's changed in Dragon Ball Super. That is just amazing. As a Vegeta fan, it's a perfect way to kind of show that Vegeta really is a changed man. He is no longer like he once was. Best way to do it. Now, talking about Final Atonement, okay, I never expected to see that scene ever again in Dragon Ball. In general, I didn't expect to see that, especially like with a flashback. I didn't think I would see that. I mean, when you saw that little flashback happen when Vegeta was charging and all that, like in Super, and when all of a sudden it had a flashback to what he was doing, like Piccolo mentions it and he's charging, I'm like, no way. I got a little bit scared. I'm not even gonna lie, I got a little bit scared. I was like, is this the moment Vegeta's gonna like job? Is he gonna, sacrifice everything for the sake of taking down Topo? That's what I thought was going on. And then he managed to survive and overcome it in the end, which is amazing because it goes along with the theme of the episode. But at the same time, though, just seeing that moment where Vegeta used Final Atonement, he was remembering everything, I'm like, yo, it's obvious that this is fan service for Vegeta fans, but I will definitely take it. Now, all in all, though, when it came to Vegeta using it in Super, it was very impressive, but it seems like they're finally trying to incorporate this technique, like that's from the games. Like, if you ever played Dragon Ball games, you know for a fact Final Atonement is a move you can get. It's like an ultimate move, and when you use it, like for instance in Xenoverse, you sacrifice your entire stamina bar, your ki bar, and in some games you actually sacrifice your health as well, and that's basically what happened here. It's kind of like Toei decided to incorporate the move from the games and how it works in those games into this series now, which I like that because that means that we will see this move a lot more. But when it comes to Final Atonement, it's a last-ditch effort. It's not something that you can spam. It's not something like a Kamehameha, Final Flash, anything like that. It's something that is the last thing you use before you go down into the dirt, because you have to expend everything to be able to use it. So that's basically what was happening there. So I do appreciate the fact of how some of the things from the games are finally being incorporated into the series, and Vegeta was able to survive that. Now, with all that said and done, though, I really love the animation this episode of Vegeta going up against Topo. There was some scenes that were obviously reused. I noticed quite a few of them, but overall, it was just truly an epic episode for me personally. Maybe if you don't like Vegeta, you might not like this episode, which I can understand. But at the same time, though, if you like Vegeta as much as I do, you're probably gonna just, be jumping up and down like, man, this is just great. So, yeah. Anyways, with Topo being eliminated and majority of the entire ring just destroyed thanks to the attack, Jiren says something very fascinating, and it expands upon his character quite a bit. As you know, Jiren is a character that seems to be very quiet. He's a man with little words to say, especially when he's fighting. He said a couple of things here and there, like saying that Saiyans are very impressive, and he's talked to Goku a little bit, he's talked to Vegeta a little bit, but overall, he's a very quiet individual. And in this episode, towards the end, we get some dialogue that kind of gives a little bit of clarification to who he really is as a person. Now, many might look at Jiren's, comment towards Topo, calling him pathetic, as someone that's very arrogant, someone that is, cocky. That's what you could get from that scene. The majority of people that watch that scene are probably going to get those impressions of Jiren's character. But in fact, that is not actually what you should get from that scene. What that scene shows is that Jiren is upset with Topo because Topo sacrificed everything for nothing. He achieved that great strength, but he lost in the end. And so that's why he called Topo pathetic, because Vegeta didn't have to sacrifice anything. He didn't have to sacrifice his life, he didn't have to sacrifice his pride, his loved ones, anything to achieve what he did in this episode. And so when Jiren looks at Topo and calls him pathetic, it's basically saying like, you got beat by a man that didn't give up anything, but you gave up everything to be where you're at, and now look at you, you lost. So it's kind of like saying Jiren doesn't respect Topo right now, because Topo, he lost what it meant to be as him. For instance, he's no longer him because he sacrificed his sense of justice, and that's why he probably called him pathetic, which I find that interesting. It would explain why he talks with Vegeta, why he talks with Goku, because he respects how they fight for what they believe in, and they don't give up what they believe in for the sake of power. Goku won't, and Vegeta won't. So that's probably what that scene meant, and I feel like many might misinterpret it for the reason of him being cocky, and I just don't believe that is exactly the case. Now, besides that, let's also talk about the beginning of the episode, okay? Because now that I got the big important stuff out of the way, let's talk about 17 and Frieza going up against Topo. So, I like the little callback to Frieza using paralysis and his psychic abilities, because it's been forever. I don't think we've seen his psychic abilities in the Resurrection of Frieza arc. I don't think we did. I believe we didn't. I know for a fact in the movie we didn't, but I know this is the first time in a while we've seen Frieza actually use psychic abilities, and it's just been an extremely long while since I've seen it, and I was just very surprised when Frieza used the little ball to trap Topo in, which didn't really help in the end, but it was like a little shout out to what Frieza did to Goku a long time ago in Dragon Ball Z, but also when he raised up rocks too with his, his psychic abilities to throw at Topo. I'm like, man, like that's a really cool callback. I really like that, Toei. That's a really nice scene to add in for this episode, because, I mean, if you haven't seen Frieza use this in a while, and you're like, I wish you would use it more, here you go. You got to see it in this episode. So, points for Toei Animation just for that alone. And also 17 as well, he was fighting, Topo, and he put up a pretty decent fight. I was very surprised to see how well 17 did before Frieza popped up. And, speaking of 17, can we just talk about how this man has actually managed to make it to the end last fighter, Jiren? Like, really? Like, I never would have expected 17 to last this long. I didn't. I mean, don't get me wrong, I know 17's a cool character, I know he's kind of popular, I don't know how popular he is in, Japan, but I know he's kind of a popular character, which might explain why he's probably survived this long, but I mean, I'm just very surprised he's made it to the end. I really am. I figured he would have been knocked out long ago, because, I mean, when you think about the cast of characters that are still standing, I mean, yeah, Frieza, Vegeta, and Goku, 17 just, when you compare the others, it's just like, you would think he would have already been knocked out, but he hasn't, so I'm just very impressed by that, and, I mean, he's definitely had a lot of good moments in this arc, and Toei are definitely using 17 to their fullest extent, so more of that, please. I would love to see more of this, especially with other characters like, Frieza and Vegeta, so, yeah. Anyways, one last thing to talk about before I end this video. Frieza was nowhere to be seen at the end of this episode, which was making me scratch my head. I'm like, where the hell's Frieza? Because if you look at the final scene of the episode, Jiren's like, it's time for me to go all out, okay? I'm done. I'm going all out. And you see the man get up top. He's about to go up against 17, Goku, and Vegeta. And you don't see Frieza at all, which I'm like, Frieza wasn't knocked off. I went back to check just to make sure Frieza was not knocked off. So I'm like, why was he not there? What is Frieza doing behind the scenes right now? Because Frieza obviously is doing something for him not to be in the ending of the episode. And I even checked the next episode preview, and you don't even see Frieza in that. So I'm like, what happened to Frieza? What's Frieza doing? So I feel like Frieza's going to probably play a very critical role very soon, because for him not to be at the end of this episode, and also not to be in the preview for next episode, I feel like either he's, resting and charging his power, or something else is going on. Speaking of resting and charging his power, I also want to state that if you don't remember, and you're wondering why Frieza is back up after the beating Topo gave him last week, well, the reason why is because Frieza's dead. Many probably have forgotten the things when it comes to the people that are dead. You remember Vegeta when he was fighting Kid Buu at the end of Dragon Ball Z, and he kept getting back up, and even Kid Buu was starting to freak out. He's like, why is this man continuously getting up? Like, you can just see how he was freaking out because of Vegeta's endurance, just continuously getting up after lethal blows. Well, it's because when you're already dead, you can't be killed that easy. And then you have, like, stamina that continuously comes back, kind of, because of how you are, since you are already dead. So, in that way, it explains why Frieza is able to get up again and why he's not permanently down. But there's definitely something going on, though, with Frieza, and I'm just curious to see where Toei wants to take that, because that's a big wild card right now in this arc. But I want to end this video here, so let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like, and if you want to, get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below next to the subscribe button. So with that, I love you guys. Please be safe, stay healthy, stay warm. Chibi out.